The Biden campaign is sending out prominent female allies to swat away Tara Reade's allegations against him. Here's Stacey Abrams doing exactly that on CNN.
Allegation against Joe Biden. The accuser, her name is Tara Reade, tells CNN that the alleged incident happened in 1993 while she was working as an aide in Biden's Senate office. She is claiming that she was delivering Biden a duffel bag and says that Biden had her up against the wall in a corridor on the Hill and violated her with his fingers. Now, CNN has now spoken on the record with her former neighbor, who says Reade told her about the allegation within a few years of the alleged incident. Biden's campaign says untrue, never happened. Is this a credible allegation?
I believe that women deserve to be heard, and I believe that they need to be listened to. But I also believe that those allegations have to be investigated by credible sources. The New York Times did a deep investigation, and they found that the accusation was not credible. I believe Joe Biden. I believe that he is a person who has demonstrated that his love of family, his love of our community has been made perfectly clear through his work as a congressional leader and as an American leader. I know Joe Biden, and I think that he is telling the truth and that this did not happen.
So in 2018, you tweeted it was shameful that Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination was being rushed forward and survivors of violence like Christine Blasey Ford deserve to have their voices heard. Are you applying a different standard now?
Not at all. I believe then and I believe now that women deserve to be heard because too often they are not. And Tara Reade deserved to have her story listened to and investigated. What was happening to Christine Blasey Ford was that there was no investigation. There was a rush to move the conversation forward so that no investigation was conducted. And as I said, I believe that those allegations needed to be investigated. And I believe that the New York Times and subsequent reports support what the Biden campaign has said. And I believe Joe Biden.
So you said you've heard her, you've heard enough, you don't believe her, you believe Joe Biden.
No, what I'm saying is that the New York Times investigation of her allegations, the New York Times investigation does not support the accusations against the vice president. I believe the Biden I know, and I think that he will make women proud, that he will make America proud.
Does Joe Biden personally need to address this more directly and publicly?
I believe his campaign has been very clear, and I believe that that is the approach that they intend to take. And I support the approach because, again, we don't want women to ever be afraid to come forward, but we also have to recognize that allegations should be investigated and that those investigations need to be borne out.
She mentions there that, well, the New York Times did an exhaustive report and they looked into this, they investigated it, they studied it, and they found that there's no merit to this and that it absolves Biden. That's what Stacey Abrams just said. Not only is that untrue, that is so untrue that the New York Times released a statement after the fact and they were like, stop saying that. We did not conclude that. We did not say that there was no merit to the claim. We did not absolve Joe Biden. Stop lying about what our investigation found. When you go so far in your BS that you piss off your ideological allies in the media, and even the people who are supposed to be the cheerleaders for the corporate Democrats, and that is what most of the New York Times is, even they go, no, you're misstating it and you're dragging our name through the mud now too. Stop it. Stop it. Because it's not just Stacey Abrams who went with this line. This was a talking point that the Biden campaign developed, and everybody as part of the Biden campaign is saying, the New York Times looked into it and they found there's no merit to the claim. Nonsense, which is why the New York Times came out and said, stop saying that. That's not what we found. So, just so you understand, this is Stacey Abrams lighting her credibility on fire. I'm not commenting on whether or not she had credibility beforehand, but certainly now, whatever credibility she did have, she's lighting it on fire. But you have to understand why, guys. Because you and I are not the target audience. Democratic voters are not the target audience. What she's doing is she's auditioning to be VP. She's saying, look at me. I'll be incredibly sycophantic and say whatever you want me to say if you give me a little taste of the power. Look at me. Give me the power. Give me the position. If you give me the power, if you give me the position, I'll say whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. I'll be as sycophantic as possible. I have no values, no principles. I believe in nothing. Pick me. So you and I look at that and we're like, wow, this is hard to watch. But we're not the target audience. The target audience is, Joe Biden and his 7 campaign staffers in a hotel room somewhere, or, in Joe Biden's basement watching this going, well, she does seem like she's ride or die for me, so I guess maybe we'll pick her for VP. That's what this is. This is raw power, a raw power grab and careerism talking. Because look at the claims. Like, I think the thing that frustrates me so much is not even that they're ignoring Tara and they're saying it's not true, but it's that they're still trying to cloak themselves in the BS moralizing language, as if we're better people than the Republicans. So I'm still going to try to play this silly game of like, who, me, bro? Me, I'm above it, and I have principles, and I believe in Me Too and Time's Up, and I believe we should hear women out and look at their claims, and so we have to give women the space, and like all the weaselly language where you're moralizing, like, no, don't get it twisted, I'm still going to pretend like I'm a good person, while I totally flip on any standards I've ever had. By the way, there's even more evidence for Tara Reade's claim than there was for Christine Blasey Ford. Every one of them was like, I believe Christine Blasey Ford against Kavanaugh. And immediately, even though there's more evidence for Tara, they flip. Why? Because again, it's not about believing in anything. It's not about a principled stance against sexual assault and supporting women. No, it's about, I, Stacey Abrams, want to be vice president, and so I'm auditioning here, so I'm going to go hard in the paint for Joe Biden, and I'm going to downplay this as much as possible and swat it aside as much as possible and say, I believe Joe Biden. Yeah, the reason you believe Joe Biden is because you want to be VP. That's why. Now, the little cherry on top at the end of the conversation here is, Stacey Abrams is for charter schools. Okay, now you might say, well, whatever, that alone is not something that's dispositive of her being decent. But here's something that is. Stacey Abrams helped the Republican governor of Georgia dismantle a free college program that they already had. Because this is the kind of Democrat that she is. This is the kind of neoliberal corporatism that she believes in, that she fights for. It's path of least resistance stuff all day long. What do my donors say? What do the corporations say? I'll do that. What do the Republicans say? Oh, if the Republicans give me a BS deal, then I'll take it, because then I get to do the whole, the fake grand bargain rhetoric like Obama wanted to have with the Republicans. Yeah, I'll cut Social Security and Medicare, but we got to do it a reasonable amount, not too much. And then I'll go out there and say, look at me. I'm so bipartisan and I'm such a compromiser. Aren't I such an adult? Isn't the left so crazy and stupid? This is the mindset. But now, man, listen, it's amazing that I don't even know how many years ago the whole Me Too Time's Up thing started, but it couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 years ago, right? And now all of it, they just lit it on fire. They just lit it on fire. We're going to burn it down to support Joe Biden come hell or high water. Okay, well, it's amazing how fraudulent the whole thing was all along, that really it was just a cudgel to use against political enemies. So they would have no problem at all, guys, trotting out not just like, it's like, believe all women. It's almost like flip the burden of proof, believe all women immediately. They would use that in a heartbeat against any Republican you can name and any left-winger you could name. If there was an allegation against Bernie Sanders, he would have been asked about it in every single interview. Joe Biden has done dozens of interviews since the allegation came out, and he hasn't been asked about it at all. Nada, zip, zilch, Dickie McGeezax, zero, nothing. They've asked him nothing because they're protecting him. But this goes to show you what exactly the caricature, the stereotype, the straw man that the right had of the Me Too movement. No, it wasn't a straw man. They were right. They were right. Oh, you're just using this to bash people over the head who you disagree with politically, and then you're pretending to morally grandstand and act like you're better people. But now we see it. Now we see it. It's not about being a better person, having values, having standards, believing women, trying to help victims, being sympathetic or empathetic. No. It was all about, I don't like these people, and I found something I could use against them, so I'm going to do that. And if you try to flip my standards back on me and apply them, I mean, Tara Reid, I mean, the New York Times said that there was nothing there, even though they didn't say that. And the phone call with Larry King and the mom, I don't know. Hot Tub Time Machine maybe was involved. I have no idea. Oh, the fact that she told her neighbors at the time in the mid-1990s and the neighbor verifies every part of the story. Please let me be VP. I hope it's worth it, Stacey. I hope it's worth it. Man, I can't imagine, like, I almost feel bad for anybody who really invested any hopes into the broader Democratic Party. Like, I feel bad. Because this is just everything, it just implodes under the weight of its own hypocrisy instantly. Like, instantly. It was just like, overnight, boom, everything we believe in is a joke. We actually don't believe in anything. So it's a raw power grab, man. It's a very eye-opening realization when you find out all of those characteristics that we use to describe, like, the loser, sycophantic Republicans, like the people who believe anything the Republican Party says and they think that they're fighting for regular people, and, the people who go down the rabbit hole of the conspiracies like birtherism against Obama, for example. Like, we look at that and we're like, oh, you guys are sheep. You're just so tribal and it's so pathetic. Well, guess what, man? What do you think this is? And what do you think Russiagate was? You want to talk about going down the conspiracy rabbit hole? Anybody who slammed a right-winger for believing in birtherism, but then they turned around and sincerely believed that the president of the United States was a Manchurian candidate for Vladimir Putin's Russia, sorry, you're just as stupid as the people on the right who believed in birtherism. What do you want me to tell you? That's true. And it's so amazing to watch in real time, like, the raw careerism and ambition override everything that one is supposed to believe in. So listen, I'm applying not my standards to them here. I'm applying their own standards to them. You said it's believe all women. You said it, Me Too and Time's Up, and, it's a new era, and the men who have abused are finally going to get kicked out of power. No. This is what you said. And now, Me Too? Time's Up? I don't even know what that means, man. Me Too? Time's Up? Is it Me Too? You're talking about the sexual assault stuff? I don't even know what that means, man. We talking about Joe Biden? I don't even know no Joe Biden. What do you mean Joe Biden? Who Joe Biden? I don't even know who that is. Oh, no. Well, there you go. And we'll see who will be picked for VP, but, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Gretchen Whitmer or Amy Klobuchar. Because Biden had promised to put a black woman on the Supreme Court, which in corporate Democrat speak, that means I'm not picking a black woman for VP. So I think it's going to be Gretchen Whitmer or Amy Klobuchar, but apparently there's been backlash that he's not picking a black woman for VP now, so maybe they're reconsidering and they want Stacey Abrams. But either way, I mean, this should disgust everybody who actually cares about issues, who cares about policy, who cares about making the world a better place, who cares about people being consistent with their own standards, because this was really, really hard to watch.